Hey, everybody. So, this is our podcast episode, and I want to talk to you about why understanding yourself is the first step to your self healing journey. So, here's the thing: we have consciousness, and that's where we are consciously aware of who we are or who we think we are and what's expected of us. It's almost the version of us that is programmed by the external circumstances and the world. And it's the version that we play out as actors, as if we are the actors in the movie, the stories. And the truth is, the story that you're playing out as you, as the main character in your own movie, is exactly what you're creating day in and day out. So, 2 decades into living with autoimmunity, this taught me that at the end of the day, if I didn't recognize my role in what I play into creating health and the life for myself, then that would require me to give my power away to the experts, so called, right? And so if you can envision like the full spectrum, right? We've got the colors of the rainbow from left to right. We've got all colors. Life is not about black and white, sick or health. The middle place in between is where it gets super messy, right? So this is what I want to bring and enlighten you to recognize is that messy middle is where life happens. And we get so stuck into creating drama in our lives to know exactly who we are and what role we play in our lives. And that keeps us so small and so limited. And in our consciousness, we want the tangible evidence of what helps us in our medical field, right? As somebody who's studied the scientific methods, I have a doctoral study. I conducted my own research as my thesis when I was graduating. I was doing all the things to really prove certain things. What I can share with you is that there's what's called inter-tester reliability, meaning no matter how pure I might be, I bring my biases as a researcher, as well as somebody else brings their biases. And whatever beliefs we have, any biases, because if you're a human being, you have biases. We're not neutral human beings. You have your opinions, you have judgments, and this is how we conduct ourselves in our day to day. Look at our political system. Look at what happened last week, right? We have strong opinions of what we consider to be right or wrong. And where we fall on that spectrum is in large part dictated by our past and our past experiences and our conditioning. And they've been shaped and indoctrinated. No matter how smart you are, you're conditioned a certain way. So we have this life from the vertical line, right? We've got like the top ceiling and then the bottom, and then the consciousness by which we define ourselves in our lives is how we let our lives play out, right? But this is very subconscious for many people. Many people think the truth is what you believe. But what you believe is not the truth. It's a perception of what you bring to the table. It's an interpretation of what's factual in the world. In fact, there's very little facts in life the way we humans like to put emphasis on the facts, right? That's so much play on words. I'm sorry, you guys, but I'm trying to really explain something so abstract into something that's so concrete, because I know many of you really do experience this as I have. No matter how hard I try to change some aspect about me, I realized that I myself would show up and really sabotage the thing that I was trying to achieve. So specifically in this group and in this context, in our podcast together, we're talking about health. So no matter how much we want to be healthy, I've met so many patients that go against and they get in the way of them getting healthy. They have the excuses, and they have all the procrastination. They have negative self-talks, and then they start to defend their limitations as to why it is they can't do the thing. And they have deep-seated beliefs in their capability. So stripped down to everything, it's really about how you view yourself. And if you don't recognize these tendencies, your sort of set points by which you live your life, then you're never going to achieve long-term success in your endeavors, whatever they may be. This is just one spectrum, right? Health, wealth, and relationships are three motivating factors that drive human behavior. But you have to understand that at the end of the day, what a lot of you guys come to me asking specific questions for is concrete subject topics like what kind of exercises or what kind of movements or therapeutic exercises, as well as what kind of foods should we be eating. So the act of eating requires me to psychologically be aligned with what it is I'm going to choose to eat to get it into my body. It takes action, right? And it takes action for me to show up at a yoga class or a fitness gym or a circuit class or whatever it is that you do. It takes action for me to want to do those things and choose to do those things. And many people, as we're talking in January of 2021, we make goals and we set goals based on the actions that we're going to take. I'm going to eat healthy. I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm going to goal set towards the behavior. I'm going to cook more. I'm going to make better choices in my foods without recognizing who they are being, not changing who they're being. So for example, common thing, an easy thing to demonstrate is somebody who wants to lose 30 pounds. Well, deep-seated belief in them, if they feel like they're heavy boned, they've always been obese, I'll never be skinny, I'm just big boned, and I'm just fat, frankly, and that's what they believe, but they don't recognize consciously that that's what they believe. All they want right here, right now in 2021 is to lose 30 pounds. They might go and do the thing and get on a diet. Guess what happens in diets, right? There's a yo-yo diet, right? You come right back to your set point of who you believe you to be. So I can tell you right now, you're in this group, Autoimmune Health Transformation. I'm Lupus Rebel. And I really, as a practitioner of health with licenses to retain, liability-wise or otherwise, I can't tell you I can cure your lupus. And that would be a false statement, and that might be a no-no. But I can, for myself, I had to believe that I can cure myself of my lupus. And that's what I solely believed. At some point in my journey, I realized nobody else can have control. It would be foolish for me to believe that doctor that keeps telling me, Miss Jian, you cannot be cured of lupus. So every time something goes wrong, they were so hell-bent on keeping me on a medication. I proved them wrong. And it's because of my belief in myself. And I chose to think a thought that better served me as opposed to believe something that other people say of me. They don't have what I have. And I know the history of ICD-9 codes. Different autoimmune diseases have a specific code. They're coded to be able to be reimbursed through third-party payers. And if you're not coded, when you go to the hospital, just like COVID-19 last year, right? A lot of the hospitalists had to link the deaths in the hospital to COVID because they dictate these medical services that are in line with this disease so that the insurance payers can pay up. That's how the system is coded. So no matter what, if you are my client, you had me talk before. I go back to your past history. I get down to who you are and all the traumas that you bring to the surface to make sure that you're not replaying the story about what stories that you tell. And if it is that you believe that your disease is incurable, but you've signed up for my program, guess what? You're going to always work to sabotage the behavior. And then you're going to inadvertently, unbeknownst to you, work against the very thing that we're trying to do together to sabotage, because your belief, your set point is stronger and it's going to validate its own belief. It's as simple as that. Our human nature, if you believe something is good or bad, you're going to prove something is good or bad based on what you play out. It's basically the stories that you write, you're positioned to write a story a certain way. If you believe that you can't be cured of lupus or your autoimmune condition, that's the story you're living out. But here's the thing, many of us lie to ourselves to think that we can and we want. And I've lived so long, and that was such a meta concept for me, that I wanted certain things so much, but my behaviors wouldn't follow. And then unless I really sat and looked at my behaviors and matched it with where I wanted to go, and if it didn't align, it's because it wasn't in alignment with what I believed. Everything that I was trying to do, it was superficial stuff. But the set point deep within, my belief system, my identity of who I think I am and how I show up to be who I am is very different. And if it's not in alignment, nothing's gonna really actually happen in my life. So that's what I want to make sure you understand, is really understand who you are by really recognizing your patterns, right? And that's why I created the alkaline method. Look, I'm wearing this shirt. It's self-healing journey. Alkaline method has the inner pillars to the outer pillars. And what's so important is for you to be aware of your inner pillars, so what drives your behavior, what's your anchor point, your foundational beliefs are right here and right now, and see in what alignment you're living out that story, and make sure that I make you ask the core questions to make sure you know what your core beliefs, values, mission, and vision for your life is. Nobody asks you that. And you might wonder, we're talking about autoimmune, why are you asking me about the deep stuff? Well, it's important because if you want to just be on a hamster wheel doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, guess what? You're going to create what you've been creating, more of the same. And we can't afford to create more of the same. Things have to be disrupted in your life enough for you to recognize certain changes that you have to make. And your mind does not know it can make the changes. We always think we're not good enough. We're this, we're that, and that's why we can't do the thing. And for a long time, I really attached to the belief that I was broken because of my lupus, that I was not worthy, and that I wasn't deserving of all the things. And I lived in fear, and that limitation was so heavy, not recognizing that I had certain expectations with everybody around me, because it's like if they were mean to me, and again, that's my opinion of that, right? If they were mean to me, insensitive or whatever, I would feel very hurt and resentful, like towards my close friends and my family, because I felt like they needed to know I have lupus and they need to be nicer to me. Like I am hurting over here. And that's sort of the limiting beliefs that kind of set the tone for how I showed up in my life and in my relationship. And as you can see, if somebody's always self-pity and they're just in negative behavior and they're just circling in that self-pity, nobody wants to be around that, right? And I know for a fact, I talk to my best friends who've known me when I was living like that. They'll tell you, and I have very honest and true friends for life, and they'll tell me, my gosh, Connie, you were kind of crazy back then. There's the things that you did, like it was really heavy. And that dependency doesn't create healthy boundaries and relationships that you ultimately want. And here's the thing, your direct relationship with yourself is a direct reflection of what you're creating. Meaning, if health is not so important to you, you have to look further at how you think about yourself. Because if you're not regarding yourself, there's no respect or love toward yourself, you're not going to do the things that's going to help you. It's almost like you don't want to give somebody that you don't like and give them the world and do everything to help them, right? And so if you're creating this self-loathing and you have this tendency, which I did for so long, and I didn't even realize that until I did, and I was willing to step into doing the deep work of getting to know myself. Until I did that, I was able to really peel off the layers and really understand my inner pillars to the outer, and then really step into elevating myself to be the person I want to be the new version of me, like completely reinventing myself so that I can really expand my mind to the newer possibilities, such as curing myself of lupus and running a business and doing the thing that I'm doing exactly here, getting my own podcast to affect more people, as well as to be truly empowered from within to do the tactics that I needed to learn to apply in my daily life. If I didn't have love towards me and regard and respect for me, that's what was keeping me from showing up for myself. I was there doing all the things for my kids, for my spouse, for my parents, for my sister, friends, everybody else, at the mercy of me and forsaking me at every chance. And so if you find yourself in a pickle right now and you don't like what you're creating, for once, really take a look at the possibility that you are creating. Your life right now is a direct reflection of the story that you're telling yourself. It has everything to do with who you are, or better yet, who you think you are. You really have to go under to really realize if this is not what you want and you don't want to repeat more of the past and bring that on to the future, you really do have to be open or open yourself to the newer possibilities by elevating yourself, by expanding your mind, and then being empowered. Because no matter science or otherwise, the intellect, all the knowledge that I've gained, I realize that's only limited in this three-dimensional world. The real work is in expanding your mind to really rely on the timeless insights that you and I both have in our lives deep within you. And my job through the work that I do in my podcast and in my private group, Tribe of Autoimmune Health Rebels, as well as through working with me on long-term with autoimmune health transformation, is all about transforming the way you think about you and putting the power back in your court so that you can make not just do a little better, do a little more, and do a little different, but completely change who you are and how you're being every day so you can truly be and step into being the healthiest version of yourself. This is a meta concept, you guys, but really, if you don't manage what's here in your psyche, then nothing else matters. So I discussed the 6 pillars of the alkaline method. Down at the bottom is your foundation, foundational beliefs and identity, and it's where you're anchored right here and right now. And that changes from time to time. From that place, you're aligned with everything that you do is aligned with who you believe. So if you're not doing the thing, you have to ask what's your foundation and go deeper, the layer deeper to have lasting changes. The third pillar in the alkaline method is core values, core vision, because if you don't have a vision for your life and your health, guess what? You're at the mercy of whatever happens. And everybody sort of waits until the new treatment comes out or new doctor writes another book or a diet. And I'm willing to tell you, like, that does not work. That's only 3D, right? It's at that same vibrational frequency. It's what we know, consciousness. You're not willing to step into the timeless wisdom and timeless insights that's available deep within and switch on for that self-healing. That is not going to help you. Is why there's so many diets and so many different interventions, and then they're all dogmatic in their nature, and then you're just as confused as you were before you found what you think is going to help you, right? And then the fourth pillar in the alkaline method is polarity, understanding that life is a paradox. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, but you're willing to dance with the full spectrum of it, and understanding there's sick to health, and then there is acid to alkaline, there's north to south, and there's different positives to negatives. And understanding that, have a grander view, as well as the fifth pillar is to find your breath and be present here and now, because this moment right now is all we've got. And then the sixth pillar is balance, balancing your body, balancing your life, and creating equanimity, and doing this over and over again, and finding how you have to tweak a little bit to make sure you find homeostasis and readjust the set point within you. And as you grow and evolve, because that's what you're here to do on this earth, is to evolve and grow. And if you're not, that's why you're so miserable and so depressed, and we need all the medications that we can get just to get us by. And I don't want you guys suffering any more than you have to. So I really want you to be willing to be enlightened in the new ways of being, because you're a miraculous creature, and deep within, you're here to evolve and grow. And if you're not doing that, and you're living in suffering and everything feels so hard, it's because you haven't realized your full potential. And remember, our physiology, right? Physicality of movement and nutrition is still outside of us. Neuropsychology is what I emphasize. It's that our minds trigger our feelings, and feelings drive our actions. And those three things are neuropsychology. And then we have to use those elements in our favor to want to make the right choices with the foods. And even the foods, there's no bad or good foods. And everybody's like, elimination diet. And I do really promote that for a short time. But my goal, long-term goal, is to be able to have all of it, eat the cake, or have the cake and eat it too, and experience the fullness of life, what it brings to you, and really savor the taste by learning to intuitively have the tools to eat the right foods for you. Because again, one man's medicine can be another man's poison. Only you can know. So instead of me saying, hey, apples are bad, well, it might be super good for you, and it might be super bad for me. Don't assume, like the old adage that says an apple a day keeps a doctor away. Well, truth be told, if I have an apple, I'll have my IBS symptoms, like be irritated. And I know it's the same thing for some of you. But I'm working to make sure that you guys become more resilient, have more endurance and strength from within, to be able to enjoy the full taste of life. It's not about limitations. It's about elevating yourself, to expand your mind to newer possibilities, so you can be empowered to make the necessary choices to help you to thrive in life, right? We don't want to just exist. We want to thrive. And I'm here to make you do that, or help you to do that, utilizing our signature alkaline method with the 6 pillars, as well as the elements of health that involve our physicality, which includes the movement piece through the asanas in yoga, as well as nutrition. And then under the element of neuropsychology, we really do tap into your thoughts and your feelings, and really metabolizing and digesting and recognizing how that drives your actions, and how your actions, cumulative actions, creates the results in your life. And if I can just direct your mind in this way, utilizing my alkaline pillars as well as the elements that I just mentioned, you will be complete from the inside. You will be so courageous and so confident in the way you show up to help yourself, to heal yourself, to get on your self-healing journey. And everything else now becomes icing on the cake. I hope this made sense for you. It's a little abstract, but I feel this is the path that we need to be taking, right? And so I hope you enjoyed this podcast. As always, I would really, really love it if you can leave me a positive review on iTunes, and really subscribe, so I can deliver these really wise messages to you that might trigger you to really transform your life. Remember, I'm trying to get you from a caterpillar to a butterfly. We all have that transformative capability, and my job is to nudge you forward so that you start to fly and find your wings in the process, not be down on the ground and, being stuck as a caterpillar, because that's not who you are, right? And I promise you, what you believe is what you're going to manifest in everything that you do. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you haven't already, join my free Tribe of Autoimmune Health Rebels group, because next week at 11 o'clock Eastern Standard Time every single day, I am hosting a autoimmune detox workshop for 7 days where I teach you all the tips and tools and specific strategy and tactics to reverse your autoimmune condition so that you can be elevated in your being and really expand your mind to newer possibilities for healing yourself, as well as to be empowered to do the things you need to really drastically alter, really ultimately transform your health and your life in the process. Thank you so much for joining me. And